When you think about the AI boom, a few big names always pop up, right? NVIDIA, Microsoft, Google, they're the ones building the AI brains. But behind these giants, there's this whole other world of companies, the unsung heroes really, providing the critical gear that makes everything tick. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most important players you've probably never heard of, Astera Labs.
Okay, so why are we talking about them? Well, to get a sense of why Astera is so fascinating, you just have to look at its stock. The Nasdaq's had a fantastic year, no doubt, up almost 18%. But Astera? They've just blown right past that, rocketing up over 23%. And whenever you see that kind of performance, you have to ask, what's going on here? And that's really the big question we're digging into. What exactly is this company doing that's so incredibly valuable to the AI revolution? Because here's a hint, it's not about making the chips themselves any smarter. Nope, it's about solving a much deeper, more fundamental problem. And that problem, well, it's what we call the great data bottleneck. Turns out, as these AI models get more and more powerful, the biggest roadblock isn't just the raw computing power of the chips. It's about how you get all that data to the processors fast enough to keep them busy.
I mean, just picture it. A modern AI model is so huge you can't possibly fit it on one chip. You have to spread it out across literally thousands of GPUs in a giant data center. And the speed of that entire system, the whole thing, is capped by how fast those chips can talk to each other. If that connection is slow, it honestly doesn't matter how fast your chips are.
So this bottleneck really boils down to two core headaches. First, there's signal degradation. It's kind of like trying to hear someone whispering from across a huge room. The electrical signals carrying all that data get weaker and messier the farther they have to travel. And second, you've got these memory walls. The GPUs are just so powerful, they're like supercars that are constantly running out of gas. They process data faster than the memory can feed it to them, leaving them just sitting there, starving. So here's a great way to think about it. If NVIDIA's GPUs are the brain of AI, then all the connections between them, that's the nervous system. And without a lightning-fast, super reliable nervous system, that brain just can't work at its full potential. This critical gap, well, that's exactly where Astera Labs comes in. So how does Astera fix this? Well, their whole strategy is to be the picks and shovels provider in this AI gold rush. They're not panning for gold themselves, they're selling the essential tools everyone needs to clear up this massive data traffic jam. Their solution is built around three main product lines. First up, you've got the Aries Retimers. These basically tackle that signal degradation problem head-on. They act like little signal boosters, cleaning up and re-amplifying the data so it gets where it's going perfectly. Then there are the Taurus smart cables, which make connections cheaper by packing intelligence right into standard copper cables. And finally, their Leo products. These are the things that smash through that memory wall, giving GPUs access to these huge shared pools of memory so they never have to wait for data. Okay, and this is the crucial part, right? How does this all translate into money? Well, in a regular standard cloud server, Astera might sell about $50 worth of their stuff. But in a monster AI server crammed with all those power-hungry GPUs, that number just explodes. We're talking into the thousands of dollars per server. So you see, the more complex AI gets, the more Astera's gear is absolutely essential. And as you can probably guess, being in this unique position has absolutely lit a fire under their financials. So let's take a look at the numbers and see just how dramatic this explosion has really been. All right, so just look at the company before the AI boom really took off. From 2022 to 2024, yeah, revenue was growing, which is good, but check out that net income line. They were losing tens of millions of dollars consistently. This was a company that was basically betting the farm, investing a ton of money for a future that hadn't quite arrived yet. But now watch what happens in 2025, right as the demand for AI infrastructure just goes vertical. The change is absolutely stunning. Not only does their revenue go into hyperdrive quarter after quarter, but the company swings from these huge losses to making massive profits. Their net margin goes from a negative 21% to almost 40% in a matter of months. I mean, this is what hypergrowth looks like. Let's just pause on that growth for a second, because this number is wild. In the third quarter of 2025, their revenue more than doubled compared to the same time last year, a 104% year-over-year jump. And it's pretty much all thanks to this insatiable demand from AI data centers. And here's what's maybe even more impressive. They're not just growing, they're growing profitably. they have maintained these incredibly high gross margins, right in the mid-70s. For a hardware company, that is just exceptional. It tells you they've got a unique product that customers desperately need, and that gives them serious pricing power. So all of this leads to the million-dollar question, right? Is this sustainable, or is this just a flash in the pan? Well, it looks like Astera has been very busy building what investors like to call a moat, basically a set of powerful advantages to protect its business.
I absolutely love this quote I came across because it just perfectly sums up their brilliant core strategy. Astera has deliberately positioned itself to be the neutral party, the Switzerland in the middle of the great AI chip wars.
Let's break down that moat. First, and this is huge, they are vendor agnostic. It doesn't matter if NVIDIA, AMD, or Intel wins the GPU war. Astera doesn't care. They all need high-speed connections, and Astera sells to all of them, so they win no matter what. Second, they have a secret sauce, a software platform called Cosmos. This lets data centers watch over the health of every single connection in real time. For a company where even a minute of downtime can cost millions, that's priceless. And finally, they're getting into custom silicon, designing special, tailor-made chips for the biggest cloud companies to really lock them in as long-term customers.
So, if you're going to take away one single thing from all this, it's this. Astera Labs is essentially a leveraged bet on the ever-increasing complexity of AI. The bigger, the faster, the more ridiculously power-hungry AI models get, the worse that connectivity bottleneck becomes, and the more absolutely essential Astera's products are. And that kind of leaves us with one last big thought to chew on. We're all so focused on this super intelligent AI that's being built. But as these models get infinitely more complex, maybe the real question we should be asking is, who's going to build the superhighways for all that data to travel on? And it really seems like Astera Labs has a very, very compelling answer.